Thank you, Doug. I'm here with Albany State University Professor Matthew Stanley. He is the Assistant Professor of History, and he has lent his wisdom to us this morning to give us some facts about President's Day. Thanks for being here.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Well, first, we've got this first question, kind of a play on how do you actually say it? Is it President's Day, Presidents with a apostrophe S, or Presidents with the apostrophe after
Well,
the S?
that floating apostrophe sort of speaks to the confusion of President's Day. One would suggest that it is just a day commemorating George Washington, another Washington and Lincoln, and one a day commemorating all 44 of our executives. But it's actually a trick question because it's none of the above. The official federal holiday under the U.S. Code is actually George Washington's birthday. So different states celebrate Lincoln's birthday, or they combine them and move them around as they're authorized to do by the U.S. Code. But officially, federally, it's George Washington's birthday. So just one person. And the first thing I did this morning when I looked on my phone was see if the apostrophe was there or not on my calendar, and it was. So it's just confusing.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Our next question that we have here, when did President's Day begin?
Well, the celebration of George Washington's birthday actually began during the Revolutionary War at Valley Forge and sort of just de facto local celebrations. And it officially began across the nation in his last year as president in 1796. It wasn't implemented into federal law until 1885 officially under the Chester A. Arthur administration. So it took a while, but it's been around since before the United States was actually the Constitution, at least. So
Very neat.
yeah.
We'll go ahead and pull up our next question here. Abraham Lincoln's birthday is not and has never been a federal holiday.
No, it's not. And where I'm from, Illinois, it's a state holiday, and it's celebrated every day or every year on February 12th, which is Lincoln's birthday. But a lot of states have combined Lincoln's birthday with Washington, so the notion of President's Day wasn't actually popularized until the 1980s when commercial retailers got a hold of it and decided they could move more product by framing it in big terms as President's Day. So it's actually a relatively recent concept.
Why did people group Washington and Abraham's birthday together?
Because they're very close. They're born close proximity. Abraham Lincoln was born February 12, 1809. George Washington was born February 22nd, 1732. So if you could just combine them, and rather than celebrating them separately, that would be easier. And in 1968, as part of a movement to move more federal holidays to Mondays to give workers an extra day off, they were it made sense to sort of couple them up. And
right. Very interesting. Well, we're going to be back with more President's Day facts. I am back with Professor Matthew Stanley from Albany State University, and we've been talking about some President's Day facts. So let's go ahead and pull up our next one. Since 1971, Washington's birthday has never actually been on his birthday.
No, it's an interesting thing because when Washington was born in 1732, the British Empire was under the Julian calendar. So by that calendar, Washington would have been born on February 11th. By the Gregorian calendar, which was implemented in 1752 by the British Empire, he would have been born on February 22nd. So as it stands, the third Monday in February, Washington's birthday is always on either February 15th through 21st. Making it impossible for it to be on his birthday, or Lincoln's for that matter.
How interesting, which is kind of the origins of President's Day.
Right, right, yes,
Right.
absolutely.
What's our next fact here? All right, how did it help start a revolution?
In France. This gives you an indication of the global significance of Washington's birthday because it led to the overthrow of the last French king, Louis Philippe. And to make a very long story short, the king had banned public political meetings, so citizens began meeting in private. And when the king tried to ban the one they were going to hold on Washington's birthday in 1848, it led to the 1848 revolution, which led to the toppling of old Louis Philippe. So, yeah.
All right, very interesting. And our final one, some President's Day traditions.
Yes, as you might expect, historically people do a lot of things with cherries, given the George Washington and the cherry tree couldn't tell a lie myth.
So that's a myth?
It is a myth, and a lot of these presidents' myths, and there are many that are associated with Lincoln as well, are moral homilies or old saws to sort of cover up unsavory aspects of the past. But a lot of people eat cherries, incorporated into some sorts of food. In 1932, another tradition is that Congress reinstituted the Purple Heart, which was a medal for being wounded in battle for the common soldier that Washington had instituted during the American Revolution. It was revived in 1932 on his birthday.
Very nice.
So there are several different traditions that go along with President's Day. Also, Congress reads Washington's farewell address every year on or around his birthday.
Really?
That began during the Civil War to encourage morale, but it's also just sort of universal lessons in politics from Washington, who talked about the dangers of political factionalism and the dangers of foreign entanglements. So it's been read almost every year since 1862 by Congress. Yeah.
Very interesting. Now, do they do that just within themselves?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, they do. Just sort of as a reminder that these things are dangerous. So, yeah.
How about that? Never knew.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for sharing
Yeah,
all of that with
thank
us
you.
this morning. Again, he's the Assistant Professor of History at Albany State University, Professor Matthew Stanley. And we hope you've got a great day ahead of you at school.